Hey folks, does your partner even know what's going on? I'll tell you what I mean and then get into the latest home prices and insights for the City of Toronto for week ending November the 8th, 2023. Does your partner even know what's going on? I'm reminded of an experience I had many years ago, early on in my career. I got invited to a home. They were talking to me about selling their home. This was their principal resident, nice family, husband and wife, two kids, teenage kids who were still in school. And so we're sitting at the kitchen table with the parents, with the husband and wife, talking about the sale of the property, going through the pricing. And so we agreed on pricing. Husband's attitude was, we should go on the market right away. Wife's attitude was, we should wait a little bit. So we were discussing the pros and cons of both. Happened to be around this time of the year, headed into the holiday season. After a bit of a discussion, and we talked about their finances and what they'd have left in their pocket after all selling expenses and paying off their mortgage, we just decided, let's go on the market right away. Now, right away didn't mean in one day. We had to do a bit of decluttering, a bit of staging. We had to get photos organized. We had to get ready to be on the market, and that took a few days. The day before we were supposed to go live on the MLS, I was at the house in the afternoon getting last few things ready. And when I arrived at the house, there was a note on the door. The note was from the sheriff, and it basically gave them, now I don't remember exactly how many days, whether it was 2 days or 3 days, but they had to basically immediately vacate the premises. And so this is not a good thing. I called the husband right away. He was at work. There was no one else at home. This was the time of the day before the kids came home from school, and they were going to be home soon. I didn't want them seeing this thing on the door, and I didn't know what was going on. So I called the husband, and he said, "Oh, have they done that already? I thought I had more time." That's what he said to me. I'm like, what are you talking about? You didn't tell me anything about this stuff. But now we know why he was trying to get the property on the market right away. Well, he got home, got the wife home. They spoke to the kids. Husband and wife had a long discussion. They invited me back that evening to discuss the whole situation. You can tell husband and wife had been fighting, arguing, upset. It was a very traumatic situation that they had to vacate the property that we were just about to sell. And husband and wife, basically the wife, although she knew things were a bit tight, she had no idea the state of their finances. The husband was the one handling all the bills, all the financing, handling everything. And the wife, basically oblivious to them missing mortgage payments. Letters were coming in with the mortgage payments that were missing, and they went straight to the husband. She didn't even open anything, do anything. Most of the time, the husband was the one. This is in their conversation, things that they're telling me. When I said, like, how do you not know? And she said, well, she didn't even touch the mail. The husband was the one who was dealing with the mail. She was totally oblivious to what was going on. And it was the cause of a ton of grief. Now, just fast forward a little bit, we managed to negotiate a stay on that for a few days. We got the home sold, and things kind of sort of worked out a little bit okay. That's not why I'm telling the story. I'm telling the story because we are in a market again, even though it's many years later, we're in a market where I know there's couples experiencing financial hardship right now. One of those couples may not realize they're experiencing financial hardship. And I know also talking about finances between couples can sometimes be one of the most difficult things to do. But I'm telling you from personal experience, even though I just talked about one experience, I've been involved in many situations where husband or wife, one of them doesn't totally understand their household finances, doesn't really know what's going on until it's too late. And it's the cause of a ton of grief and stress in that family. So I urge you, we're in a market where people are experiencing financial hardships, and it may or may not be connected to real estate. Talk about it. Talk about it early. If your partner, if you're oblivious to what's going on, open up the conversation. If you're the one that knows everything that's going on and you know your partner does it, talk to your partner. Say, listen, we need to discuss what's going on, and just, talk about the finances, deal with it together. You got into whatever situation you're in together. You can get out of it together, but talk about it early on. It'll help in many situations. If you feel this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, we've made it really simple. Below this video, in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Folks, the way home prices are going, it's causing a ton of stress for household finances. Have the important conversations. Let's get into the numbers. So here's a quick summary. I got lots of notes here. So if we look back to where we were 3 months ago, when we look at average prices, and on the board here I've got condos, semis and towns, detached. This is only for the city of Toronto. If we go back 3 months ago, not a lot of change between where prices are right now for week ending November 8th to where we were 3 months ago. The red line here, this is pre-Labor Day, this is post-Labor Day. And you saw most cases prices went up, and they've been trending down ever since we peaked, say mid to end of September. They've been trending down. That's the general market trend right now. And let me show you another chart. So this is all of Toronto, all of the city of Toronto for detached properties only. And the reason I stress that is, first of all, I stress just the city of Toronto because we don't have Mississauga, Brampton, York region, Durham region. We don't have all these other areas influencing the prices of Toronto. And this is only for detached properties, so I don't want semis, towns, condos influence the price. So the numbers are more pure. Broken down by week for detached properties for a whole year. Let's look at the trends. Let's just start right at the end here. For week ending November 8th, 111 detached properties were sold. That's been trending down. 25 of those were at $2 million or more. That's been about normal since most of October to where we are now. We've been doing 24, 26, 27, 26. So 25 is just right about normal. And average price has climbed up a bit from last week to $1,551,000. So not a big change over the previous week. But overall, this red line is post-Labor Day. Prices went up, but they've been trending down ever since. So that's post-Labor Day. But let's look at it from more of a long term, and let's look at the trends. Here we have January, so middle of January to May. So we've got early spring, sales trend up, prices trend up. We hit a peak at the end of spring, then we start June, and prices trend down, sales trend down, right all the way to pre-Labor Day. Then after Labor Day, I didn't put an error here, but sales went up, prices went up, and then trending down again. And if we come back to last year, headed towards Christmas, sales trending down, prices trending down. I know we have a ton of outside influences, most important being interest rates that are affecting prices. However, this is seasonal. We If we start the new year, coming out of January, sales and prices go up for spring. And then for the summer, they trend down to Labor Day. They shoot up again come just post Labor Day, and then they trend down all the way to the holidays, to Christmas, through winter, and then they start to go up. It's cyclical. This happens every single year. How exaggerated these numbers get has to do with other influences besides seasonal, like interest rates. We saw when we hit our peak, our crazy time in 2022, crazy times in 2021 with prices and sales going through the roof. It's when interest rates were extremely low. Now they're going the other way. And so it affects the seasonal trends, but there's still seasonal trends. They happen every year like clockwork. Compared to last year, 1,551,000 is 2% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is 1% lower than where we were this time last year. And the dotted line, that's a 4-week moving average. Labor Day, trending down since Labor Day. Sales, we said 111 were sold. It's a little bit less than what we were selling last year for the same week. 36%, so a little more than a third, are selling at list price or more. So there's still some competition, a third selling at list price or more. Sales year to date, just let's look at this number for now. So this year versus last year, January 1st to November 8th, we have 10% fewer sales this year. So we're 10% less than last year. However, this same chart a year ago, so when I was comparing 2022 year to date to 2021, last year at this time, we were 32% fewer sales than the year before. So if we add these two up, we're basically 40% fewer sales than 2021. Sales over the last couple of years have plummeted. The majority of that drop was last year. We're 32% lower than the previous year. This year, we're 10%, another further 10% lower than last year, 40% going back 2 years. That's a huge, huge drop in sales. Listings, trending down. Active listings were trending up, but now they're starting to trend down. Now, you could think, well, if active listings are trending down, the market should be becoming tighter. There's less properties available for sale. True. There's less properties available for sale. However, sales are dropping. Less properties are really wanted. There's fewer needs. There's fewer demand now. So even if active listings drops, you're still not going to feel that it's so much more tighter. It's still, lots of inventory sitting out there. And as a result, you're going to see months of inventory is actually increasing. We're at 3.7 months of inventory. And as it climbs, you'll see average prices dropping. That's all of Toronto sitting at 3.7 months of inventory. Here we go, 3.7 months of inventory, and selling at list price or more, we said, is 36%. That's the whole city of Toronto for detached properties only. Breaking it down further, breaking Toronto down into 9 sections, there's some areas, some neighborhoods outperforming all of Toronto. And if we look at months of inventory and sold at list price or more, Scarborough sitting at 2 months of inventory, where all of Toronto's 3.7, Scarborough's at 2, and more than half, 51% selling at list price or more. Extremely competitive. East York Riverdale Beaches, 2 months of inventory, 42% selling at list price or more. Etobicoke, 2.4 months of inventory. So some neighborhoods, extremely competitive, very tight inventory. Now, I know it's relative, right? I'm talking about 3.7 all of Toronto. So 2 months, it's very tight. If you remember, not too long ago, we used to be at 0.5 months of inventory and 0.3 months of inventory. Now we're talking about 2 months being tight, when all of Toronto's 3.7. It's crazy the way things change quickly. So here's semis. 51 semi-detached properties were sold. 51, hey, you know what? We've been there before since September. We've been 50, 52. So 51 is a very decent week, a normal high week, we'll call it, for semi-detached sales. 12 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price came down from the previous week, now sitting at $1,241,000. So since the peak in the spring, average prices have been dropping, sales have been dropping. Then they jumped up post Labor Day, and they've been dropping again since then. Sales have not, well, sales on a weekly basis up and down, but average prices, you could see it trending down. Compared to last year, the average sold price is, normally I would round these numbers, but I wanted to show you that there's actually, it's not exactly 0%. So it's down 0.1% versus last year's average sold price. The median price is down 1.3% for semi-detached versus a year ago. And months of inventory did come down to 1.8 months of inventory. Almost half, 49% of the semis that sold at list price or more. Townhouses, 10. That's it. 10 freehold townhouses were sold. 2 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price came way down to $1,078,000. $1,078,000 is, these numbers are crazy. There's only 10 sales. It's still 16% higher than where we were a year ago. Median price is 28% higher. I'm almost not, I don't even want to necessarily get into that just because there's only 10 sales and on a weekly basis for townhouses, especially because the sales are so few, it's really hard to look at an overall average as being a true sample of what you can expect. There's townhouses selling for $600,000, $700,000, and there's townhouses selling for $3 million out there. It's a bit nuts. Months of inventory sitting at 4 months of inventory for Toronto freehold townhouses. Here's condos. Now this is condo apartments for just the city of Toronto. 148 condos were sold. 17 were at $1 million or more. Average sold price sitting at $731,000, which is rounded, same as it was a week ago. Now let's look at some of the way this chart is working over time. A little bit different than some of the things going on for the detached market. Now, since we peaked in May, so we peaked sometime in the spring, prices have been coming down, then they jumped up again post Labor Day, and then they're trending down again. Sales, however, would normally go down with detached that jumped up and went down again. This is kind of like a slow burn. Since we peaked, sales have been dropping, and it's just gradually kind of coming down, headed towards year end. They're just gradually getting lower. 148 condos were sold. 731, lower than our lowest month last year, which was 738,000. So we're lower than last year's lowest month average. Compared to last year, however, 731 is 6% lower than where we were this time last year. The median price is 3% lower than where we were this time a year ago. Sales, 12% lower. This is year to date, January 1st to November 8th. We're 12% lower versus last year. And last year, we were 34% lower, or we had 34% fewer sales last year than the previous year. So if we go back 2 years, we are 46%. We're at 46% fewer sales this year than we were 2 years ago. The real estate market, the climate of volume has really changed over the last couple of years. Listings down, 690 condos were listed. Active listings, similar to the detached market, were trending up, but now they're easing off a little bit. And when it comes to months of inventory, we're sitting at 6.9 months of inventory. Condos, months of inventory continues to climb. Very much a buyer's market territory for condos across the city of Toronto. Here's a quick summary. Balanced market, we say, is between 3 to 5 months of inventory. So for the most part, we're sitting in a balanced market. There's going to be pockets that behave differently because I'm talking about all the city of Toronto right now. But condos, way up there at 6.9, a buyer's market. Under 5 months, we say, is a balanced market. But, you know, there's gray area in there. It all depends on the neighborhood, depends what's going on. Buying, selling, if that's your choice to buy or sell right now, it's a crazy market. Tons of realtors don't even understand what's going on right now or not sure how to react and not sure what strategies to use. Who you align yourself with, who you hire really does matter. Have an awesome day.
Welcome to 4027 Bloor Street West in Etobicoke. Before I show you the inside of this home, let me tell you what makes it so unique. It has in all 8 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms. It has 9-foot and 10-foot ceilings. Each room has its own individual climate control. These are all luxury features you would expect from a custom-built home. But what really stands out in this home is that it was designed from the very beginning for 2 families to live separate and independent of each other, both above grade. Let me start by showing you the principal residence. So this is the principal residence. Including the finished basement, you have 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, about 3,000 square feet. So here's the finished basement. It has 10-foot ceilings, an entertainment area, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a private walk-up to the backyard. So this is the private, self-contained, luxurious secondary suite with 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Have a look.